I used to believe I was the clever one, the girl who always made the right move, who could read people and situations and come out on top. For most of my life, I felt like I was one step ahead of everyone around me. But sitting here right now, in my parked car outside a grocery store, I can't help but stare at my own reflection in the rearview mirror and wonder how I could have been so spectacularly wrong. The life I'd built, the image I'd carefully crafted, all of it feels like it's crumbling around me. I'm 32, and for the first time ever, I feel truly lost. My name is Melanie, and yeah, I know you're going to judge me. But before you do, just listen. Nobody ever tells you how easy it is to slip into the role of a user. Not on purpose, but by accident, little by little, until you're too deep to remember what it felt like to just be in love. I used my husband. I used him in ways that I didn't even realize until the consequences were so big they swallowed me whole. This isn't the story I planned for myself. I wasn't always like this. When I first met Ryan, he wasn't the legend he is now. He wasn't a billionaire, he wasn't splashed across glossy business magazines, and he definitely wasn't the unreachable man he is today. He was just a hard-working construction guy, hands rough, dreams big, and a smile that made me think maybe he could take on the world. I wasn't thinking about money back then. I wasn't trying to score some rich guy or secure a cushy future. I was genuinely drawn to his energy, the way he made me feel like life could be bigger than I'd ever imagined. I made the first move. I've always been bold like that. I could tell he liked me, but I didn't want to wait for him to work up the nerve. I asked him out. From the beginning, we clicked. We laughed, we dreamed, we built a little world that felt like ours alone. It wasn't about what he had. It was about what we could become together. But then, as always, real life started showing up, piece by piece. We got married, had our first baby, and for a while, I was that picture-perfect mom, glowing with happiness, thinking I'd won the lottery of life. Ryan was working hard, sometimes late into the night, while I was at home with the kids. The grind was real, but it felt good to be building something. Or at least, that's what I told myself. The thing is, Ryan didn't just work hard. He was ambitious, relentless, and honestly, a little bit lucky. His business started taking off. What used to be paychecks that barely covered rent and groceries became paychecks that bought us nicer things. A better car, a bigger place, weekends away. The snowball just kept rolling. Suddenly, we were living in a neighborhood I'd only seen in magazines, with granite countertops, sprawling lawns, and closets full of designer clothes. At first, I was in awe. It all felt like a fairy tale. And then, it became normal. I won't lie to you. When you get a taste of luxury, it's hard to go back. The fancy vacations, the expensive dinners, the idea that anything I wanted could be mine just by asking. It was intoxicating, and I started to love it. Maybe a little too much. I started caring more about what we had than how we got it. I began measuring happiness by the things we could buy, the places we could go, the ways I could show off to friends and family. I told myself I deserved it. I mean, I was the one keeping everything together at home. 4 kids isn't easy, and I was crushing it. Or so I thought. Ryan noticed. He tried to talk to me, to reel me in, to remind me that money can't fix everything, but I didn't want to hear it. I felt like I'd earned the right to live big. When he mentioned my spending, I'd roll my eyes or pick a fight. He was just jealous, or controlling, or stingy. At least, that's what I'd tell myself in my head. I never really listened. I was too busy enjoying the ride. But money doesn't erase problems. It just changes them. The more Ryan worked, the more distance grew between us. We started fighting over little things that turned into big things. I blamed him for being gone all the time, for not giving me enough attention. He blamed me for caring too much about stuff and not enough about our family. I'd spend, he'd withdraw, and the tension just kept building, like a storm nobody wanted to acknowledge. Then one night, during one of our epic arguments, it happened. I was tired, frustrated, sick of feeling unappreciated. The words just slipped out. I don't even know why I married you. You didn't have money when we met. I only stayed because you could give me what I wanted as soon as they were out there, hanging in the air. I wanted to grab them back. But it was too late. I'll never forget the look on his face. The hurt, the shock, the way his eyes went cold and distant, as if I was suddenly a stranger. But instead of apologizing, I just stood there, stubborn and silent. I couldn't back down. I was too proud. It felt like the universe pressed pause, and all I could hear was my own heart pounding. After that, things didn't explode. They just withered. Ryan didn't yell, didn't try to talk it out. He simply stopped showing up for us. He was there, but not really. The house was filled with silence, the kind that makes you feel like you're underwater, gasping for air. The kids noticed. They started acting out, picking up on the tension, but I was too wrapped up in my own anger to be the mom they needed. I kept justifying myself, even when I knew deep down I was in the wrong. I'd think about how I helped Ryan get to where he was, how I was there from the beginning. Didn't I deserve a piece of the pie? But all the things that used to make us a team, the little ways we'd show up for each other, they were just gone. Replaced by resentment and cold shoulders. My friends saw what was happening. Some of them told me to stick it out, to try and fix things. Others, the ones I shouldn't have listened to, said I'd be crazy to give up the lifestyle, to not fight for what was rightfully mine. They'd whisper about divorce settlements, how I could walk away set for life, how women like me always end up better off. And the more I heard it, the more it sounded true. So I started believing it. I started believing I could leave and come out on top, that Ryan would have to pay up, that I'd keep the house, the cars, the life. I got lawyers involved, started making lists of what I'd demand. And in the middle of it all, I stopped seeing Ryan as a person and started seeing him as the gatekeeper to my happiness. But Ryan wasn't stupid. He saw what was happening. One morning, after a week of barely speaking, I tried to corner him in the kitchen, to talk about us. He looked at me with a sadness I'd never seen before. You can't keep using me for what I've built, Melanie. You can't keep playing this game and expect it to end well. That should have been my wake-up call. Instead, I doubled down. I told him I was entitled to half, that I'd earned it by standing by him all those years. But in my heart, I knew I was bluffing. I knew he was right. The divorce was swift and ruthless. Ryan had made sure everything was in his name, his lawyers were the best in the city, and he wasn't about to give me an easy out. Suddenly, everything I'd counted on was gone. The house? The cars? The money? Locked up tight, out of reach. I didn't even get alimony. My friends, those same ones who told me I'd end up rich, disappeared. Nobody wanted to be around a woman who lost it all. Worst of all, Ryan got the kids. Not because he was vindictive, but because the judge could see I'd lost my way. I'd become so wrapped up in myself that I'd forgotten how to care for anyone else. I was furious, embarrassed, humiliated. How did I end up here? How did the woman who once had everything lose it all in the blink of an eye? Now I live in a cramped apartment, working a job that barely pays the bills, wondering if anyone will ever love me again. Not for what I have, but for who I am. I scroll through old photos sometimes, seeing the life that slipped through my fingers, feeling like I'm watching someone else's story. I want to blame Ryan. I want to blame my friends. But in the quiet moments, I know the truth. I did this. I used him, and I paid the price. If you're hearing this, don't make my mistake. Don't let pride or greed blind you to the people who love you. Don't let your friends convince you to chase something that can't make you whole. Because in the end, when the money runs out and the friends disappear, all you're left with is yourself. And the regret that you let a good thing die for nothing. So here I am, 32, alone in a car, staring at the life I destroyed, and wondering if there's any way back. Maybe there isn't. Maybe this is what I deserve. But maybe, just maybe, sharing this will help someone else see the truth before it's too late. Don't be me. Don't lose everything just to find out it was never really yours.